estas? Creenvese azantes. Welcome, video lovers. Welcome to Tech Nerd 1.0. Adventurers, I think the year is ending. 2024 is coming to a close. It is the holiday season. It's time for the first annual Tech Nerd Best of the Year presentation. This is going to be the 5 best, or at least the 5 most impactful, in my opinion, firearms released this year in 2024. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm sorry, I literally have none of the firearms that I'm going to talk about here. There's a couple that I would like on this list, and we'll go over those. But this is totally my opinion. Your opinion may differ, but these are the ones that I think have made the most impact on the market, the ones that are at least the most innovative or cool or something or whatever. So, and by the way, these are all in no particular order, but I will tell you which one at the end that I think is the one that's the best, that's the most impact. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to start off with the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0. I think a couple reasons why I think this is so impactful. I think primarily it is because of its size. I did get a chance to see one of these up close and personal, and I got to tell you, they are so freaking small. It really is. Now, I have probably medium size hands, and it's your hand just covers it up, the whole thing. The fact that it is 380, I know a lot of people are going to want 9mm, but for what you're looking for at that point, for what you're looking for in that type of gun, you're looking for a mouse gun or pocket gun, something like that. It's just stupendous. I think there have been a few hangups with it as far as performance wise. Like anything new, would wait a little bit to see how the kinks are worked out. Maybe get one. They have been out a few months now. You're probably safe if you want to get one. But other than that, I think this is it's just great. Some of the pros, again, the size is amazing. The performance is good. It's backed by a good name. It's Smith & Wesson. This is the 2.0. They've already had these out. They've already worked on these before, so they've already worked out some of the bad points of it, and just the size and compactness of it, and the fact that it's 380. I know it's not 9mm, but 380 is respectable defensive round, especially if you're looking for just a mouse gun or a pocket gun. Cons, from all I've been able to tell, it is a heavy trigger pull, but it is a smooth trigger pull, and it is reliable. So I think you're okay there. And again, what is a pro, the size is also a con, because it is so small, probably may not fit everyone. It might not be for everyone. So that is something, but I think that is going to be a very, very impactful gun on the industry. I think they're going to sell a lot. Next one up is another one from Smith & Wesson. This is the Smith & Wesson model 1854, and this is Smith's introduction into lever action rifles. Now, I think unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know lever action rifles are all the rage. Everybody freaking wants one. I think it's been ever since the Koof was around. You could not freaking find lever action rifles for anything, and this has been going on since then. So it's been a few years now. I think people have been ramping up this lever action market. I will tell you what I really do think it is. I blame Yellowstone. I honestly do. I think the impact of that series and everyone watching it, I think people just love lever actions. I think cowboy movies and stories have sort of replaced in the pop culture genre. I think they have kind of come to the top now. I think they've replaced, zombies, sci-fi, and superheroes. Finally, I think we've seen cowboy stuff come to the top of the genre, and I think we're going to continue on that for some time to come. So I think people really are looking at that, A, for hunting, and B, just for fun, just for going out to shoot with. So the Now, the 1854, this is something very, again, this is something very new for Smith & Wesson. They've never really had lever actions out before. And the first one was out in 44 Magnum. They did release others as time went on. It is a really nice looking rifle. It's, from all I've been able to find, it's a good shooter. It's reliable. It is, I will say, however, it's expensive. They are quite pricey. And to get one in wood, in wood and steel, they're even more. I think they're topping, for a wood and steel version of their 1854, I think it's topping up over 2K. And I got to tell you, I think for that part, although I think this is a very impactful rifle for them and for the industry, I think they may struggle with sales in this, because there are a lot of other options out there that are just as or even better. And I'm sorry to say this, Smiths, which I do love my Smiths, sorry to say this, but I think the Rossi 95 really has broken out in quality, and their version of the Marlin 336 really is stupendous. Anyways, I think for Smith to bring back a lever action at this point really does show how much the market is shifting. And I think you're going to see even more of these things come out in the coming year, in 2025. All right, so up next is the Ruger. This is the LC carbine in specifically 10 millimeter. And why I think this is important. Now, the LC carbine has been out for a while. I think the first one they put out came out in 45. I think even the day it came out, everyone was asking for, they were asking for it in 10 millimeter. I think everyone knew it was going to come out in 10 millimeter, and here it was. So why is this so impactful? Well, I think because of what it is, because it's a collapsible carbine, and it's in a pistol caliber that really does seem to have a growing market. 10 millimeter really is becoming something that is kind of that people really want in the market. Now, there are a lot of people that say they want 10 millimeter, but that don't buy them. But I do think that the market is growing, and I think the more stuff that is put out there in 10 millimeter, it really does help the market grow, and it helps the price of the ammunition come down. And I think that's an important part. I think once the price of the ammunition comes down, I think you're going to see more of it, and then that kind of just becomes a snowball effect. Specifically, the LC carbine, it is a 16.25-inch barrel. It does have an adjustable and folding stock. It's an AR pattern stock. The controls for the carbine are ambidextrous. The bolt release is ambidextrous. It has bilateral manual safety. The handguard it has M-lock attachments, QD slots, which are big. It's all the current stuff that everyone is using. It has decent enough flip-up sights that it comes with. It's a blowback action, so it's fairly simple. The overall length is pretty small. Lastly, the big killer app of the whole thing is that it accepts Glock mags. This has been something that Ruger has been hesitant to do for the longest time. They finally have started giving in. The fact that they're taking Glock mags and not going with their own proprietary stuff is a big deal. I think they have finally seen the light that people really want usability in their rifles and pistols, and that's going to do it for them. I think they're going to sell a lot of these. All right, next one coming up is another Ruger. That is the Ruger RXM, and that was just released here in December, and it's really been a big explosion in the market. It is now, a lot of people are just going to say, hey, it's just Ruger's version of a Glock. That's all it is. It's Ruger and Magpul actually teaming up. I think Magpul made the frame, the receiver, which really isn't a receiver because it has a fire control group, which is really its biggest feature. That's why this is not just a Glock. And I think that's the important part that people keep missing. Yes, it is a Glock. It is a Gen 3 compatible Glock. It's going to take most Glock parts. But the fact is that they did what Glock can't do. They innovated where Glock can't or won't innovate, and they made a pistol that has a fire control group that you can swap from frame to frame to frame, and it makes it completely modular, so you can go down to a smaller frame, a larger frame, a mid-size, or even full size. And literally all you're going to have to do is once Magpul starts ramping up and making their own frames, or when the other secondary markets start making their own frames, literally that's all you're going to have to do is swap frames, which are going to be pretty cheap because they don't have the guts in them anyways. You're going to be able to get these things for probably 20 to 40, 50 quatlus, and you can literally have like a new pistol because you've already got your fire control group. The fact that Ruger and Magpul were able to one up Glock and make a Glock that has a fire control group is huge. I don't think people really understand how huge this is, because this is something that Glock should have done themselves. They should have done this a while ago. They should have been able to get this done, but they didn't. The fact is now that they haven't, I don't even know if they're going to be able to, because I'm sure that Ruger and Magpul have copyrighted this or trademarked it, whatever. I don't know if it's even going to be possible. Now Glock might be able to do one on their Gen 5 frame. That might be possible. They may be able to do it that way, but it's just the fact of it that they were outfoxed. I think it's big, and it's going to make the Gen 3 Glock is going to become the 1911 of this generation. Where you see now everyone is putting out their own 1911. Remington, Ruger, Smith and Wesson, everyone, Springfield, everyone has their own version of a 1911. That's what this is going to become. You're going to be seeing every major manufacturer is going to be putting out their Glock, their pattern pistol. It really doesn't behoove them to make up their own stuff and to put their own R&D into it if it's already done. All they have to do is refine it, try to add some functionality to it, put their label on it, and market it. That's what it's going to be. And I think that really is the important part here, and that is what did it. So the key features of the RXM is the modular design. As I said, it incorporates the removable stainless steel fire control insert housed inside, which I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm assuming that fire control group is compatible with Gen 3 parts somehow. It does have, from what I understand, the sights are good for low light conditions, which is good right out of the box. You're going to have decent sights. The ergos are great on it. It doesn't have that weird Glock ergo that everyone complains about. The compatibility stuff, again, is huge. Works with most off-the-shelf Gen 3 parts. Takes Magpul GL9 magazines, which is basically their copy of a Glock 19 magazine. So any of those old Glock magazines out there are going to work in it. Additionally, you're going to be able to use Glock 17 mags in it as well if you want to do that. It really does have everything. Now, is it necessarily all that much better if you already have a Glock 19 or some other polymer frame pistol? Is it really all that much better? Maybe not necessarily, but the fact is that if someone was going to get a new pistol right now, I would almost recommend them getting this over the Glock 19, because it comes with nearly everything you would want to have, nearly everything you would probably want to replace or customize with your Glock 19. It already has in it, and it's at a fairly inexpensive price of about I think about, what is it, 400 quatlus, which, I mean, it's going to be about 200 less than the current Glock. So it's at a good price, and yes, it has that fire control group. So if you're gonna buy this is a mid-sized handgun, but if you want to go even smaller or you want to go bigger, you're going to be able to move that control group around as the secondary market ramps up. So I think this is a huge deal right now in the industry, and I think Magpul and Ruger have really hit really hit the mark. Okay, our last one is, believe it or not, another Ruger. And no, I'm not a Ruger fanboy. In fact, I've had issues with them in the past. But this is a for me release. This is something that I really like, and that is the Ruger Mini 14 Tactical, the A-Team edition. And this is something that, again, I think Ruger really was listening to their consumers. They finally got the point of what people wanted. Samson Manufacturing is the one that made the stock for them, the A-Team stock. And, they came to Ruger and told them that they were getting correspondence from people saying that this is something they wanted. They finally listened, and literally you can buy an A-Team looking rifle right now that's right out of the box. Pros and cons of it, I'm going to say right now, the pros are it's definitely the collectability, the look, the heritage of it, of classic culture. I think that's kind of key. It is in a very common chambering. It's 5.56. So again, 5.56 or 2.23, you're not going to have any problem finding ammunition for this thing to feed it. It is 18 and a half inches. It's cold hammer forged. It's a well-built rifle. It's the reliability. There is some questionableness on that. People have had questionable reliability with Mini 14s for a long time. I would think at this point in 2024, they have worked out all those kinks. I think that is the case. I do not have one though, so I can't really say, but it seems to be the case that most of these are worked out. The other thing I would say is that the big con is the price. They are ridiculously overpriced. And for what you pay, you could get a really, really nice AR for that price. So I think that is a big deal as well. But I think for the heritage and for what you're getting, again, this is really something special. So impact on the market, I don't know about that. I don't know if they're going to sell a whole lot of these, but the impactfulness is it's something that probably the guys and the girls that are buying rifles right now that are in that age group probably are the ones that watched 1980s television. So that might be driving this. The other part is that Ruger really has listened to their customer base, and I think they have finally gotten the picture that they need to listen to what people want. I think this, and with some of their other releases that we've talked about, that shows a big deal. Okay, so that's it. That's my 5 key releases in the firearms industry for 24. What do I think is the most impactful? What do I think is the best? I think it's got to be the RXM. I think, and it happened late in 24, but I think that really is going to hit the market hard. I think in the coming year, you're going to see so much secondary product released for this thing. It's really going to get popular. And I think you're really going to see a lot of new people buying this as their first pistol. It's going to be reliable. It already is reliable because it's a Glock 19. It's a Gen 3. They've been out for years. But you've got that added feature of that fire control group and the fact that you can just buy this and it's got everything right there. I think I forgot to mention it's also a slide cut for a red dot. And that's a huge thing. That's something that everyone is looking for right now. And if you want that in a Glock, you have to get a Gen 5 MOS. You've got to get exactly the right kind of red dot. It's a huge deal. It really is. I think at that price point that the RXM is, you get that lower end of the market that is down into like maybe Taurus or PSA territory, and if they jump up just a bit, they can buy this and they've got everything right there. Everything that they would want to customize, they've already got it. And they've got that modularity of the fire control group, which is huge. So I think that is, I'm going to say, the most impactful firearm for this year. Folks, I hope you have been entertained. I hope you got something out of this. If you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear them. Give me your top 5 for the year. Tell me what you think of my choices and what your choices would be for the most impactful firearms of 2024. Let them know down below, and on your way out, please, if you could, like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to fire off around at that bell notification. And if you have been so entertained,
Are you not entertained?
drop us one of those super thanks and consider joining our membership. There'll be plenty of alien, robot, and zombie busting action going on in the next year. This is your one-stop shop for nerd gun culture. This is Tack Nerd, and I am out of here.